Now this this is a pretty simple question, but quite loaded as well. I'm separated from my spouse. How can I file for divorce? Goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so the situation is that my advice to people when they are ready to get divorce, it's actually not called divorce anymore. It's called a dissolution of marriage, but we call it divorce. Everyone calls it divorce, but it's dissolution of marriage.
Wow.
It's very, very easy now to actually do it yourself.
Okay.
So people come in and sort of say, can we go, how do I get a divorce? What do I do? And I say, look, go to the Ministry of Justice, go to the family court, and you can download the documents yourself to do it, and it's way cheaper.
Wow.
However, a couple of tricks, of course.
Sure.
If you can do what's known as a joint application, which means both the husband and the wife or the spouses sign the documents together, then it's called a joint application, and you simply fill out the forms. Each of you has to swear an affidavit, which again is in the forms that they download, in front of a solicitor or a justice of the peace. You then file the application in the family court, and hey presto, 3 or 4 weeks later, your marriage is dissolved or your civil union is dissolved, and you get a notice, and that's as simple as that. There's a filing fee of about, I think it's about $200 or $250, but that's really the only cost involved in doing it.
Yeah.
It becomes a couple of the little tricks is that if one of you is overseas, if one of the parties is overseas, you can still file a joint application, but and it's got to, you can't file before 2 years after the date of separation. There's no quick there, so it's 2 years before you can file.
Yeah.
But if one of you's overseas, you can still file a joint one, but one of you must be domiciled in New Zealand. If both of you are overseas, you cannot apply there. And again, you just go through the same procedure. The person overseas may have to swear that affidavit in front of a notary public, or in Australia might be a solicitor. But yeah, so again, fairly similar, but one of you must be resident in New Zealand or domiciled in New Zealand. It becomes a little bit trickier when only one of you wants to apply for the dissolution of marriage, because then that's called a unilateral application. And what that means is that one party fills in the forms, files them in court, the court issues a notice to the other party. You then have to arrange service through a process server or through a friend or somebody unrelated to the proceedings to serve those documents on the other party. You then prepare an affidavit of service, file that in court, and in due course it'll come through and your dissolution will happen. Really, so long as you have been separated for 2 years and the marriage has broken down irreconcilably, there's no actual defence. I have had one situation many years ago where we went to court, and as it happened, it was the wife turned up and she said, look, we got married for life and I don't want a divorce, and it was all a little bit tricky, and the judge was very understanding, very good. He just said, look, I understand that those were the rules then, but unfortunately your husband says your marriage has broken down irreconcilably, you've been separated for 2 years, and so there is no defence to it, and the divorce went through.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's always a bit gruesome, but it is what it is.
Oh man. So yeah, there's so many emotions attached to it.
Absolutely.
But it does mean, so even if only one of them is filing for it, it does. I always thought that as a question. It was like, does it just go on forever? But obviously not.
No.
Yeah.
One party can file. It's just a little bit more complicated, and I've got to admit, it's probably better to get your lawyer involved at that stage, because it is more complicated and there is a procedure.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you can do it jointly, if you can both sign, if you realise that there is no defence, do it jointly. Your filing fee of $200 or whatever it is, and you don't have another $400, $500, $600 for lawyers' fees, etc.
Amazing, thank you.